What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I just saw Dreamers Pro video. Shout out to Dreamers Pro, because I hadn't heard about this. So apparently on Gils Arena, I think it's Nick Young, aka Swaggy P, former NBA player. So it was a panel that had, I think, Gilbert Arenas, I think it was Meta World Peace, formerly known as Ron Artest, was up there. I think Kenyon Martin, and I think one other person might have been up there, and Gil. And they were talking about this lingering issue with Kobe Bryant right now. In particular, they were talking about the belief that at one point in time, T-Mac and Kobe were seen on the same level, right? And he said this was after Kobe Bryant won his third NBA championship. So that would have been around 2002. And they got into it. Swaggy P and Gil literally were screaming at each other as Swaggy P saw what he was hearing as continued disrespect of Kobe Bean Bryant.
Everybody was saying like, yo, T-Mac is nice. That's what people were saying.
They were saying you was the best player in the league.
No,
We were saying nobody said that. We're telling you what was.
This is not 2016.
We're talking about what was being said in real time in 2007, 2008. We're talking about 2002. What was being actually said, dog? That nigga was averaging 29. He was third in the league scoring. Who? You. This nigga was averaging 32 a game, scoring, and nigga getting triple teamed. Nobody in the league was guarding T-Mac. That's what the conversation was. Y'all thought I was just capping. I'm not telling. There was a reason Kobe was feeling some type of way.
It is amazing these days, right?
These niggas are stupid.
Rather argue like
instead of listening.
You niggas will always think y'all right. You're not right.
We were there.
I don't have to agree with you. I don't have to agree with you. I don't give a fuck what y'all. I don't have to agree.
What is your take?
No, you are wrong. You stupid.
We're there.
Damn.
We're game playing.
Niggas act like I gotta agree with you, motherfucker.
You don't have to.
You're not right. Shut that shit up. That shit get on my nerves, dog.
How about that?
Damn.
In 2002. From 2002. Can you tell us?
Thank you. You niggas don't have. Y'all not right. Let's go.
We're not right, and we were there. And we're game planning. We're talking. We're guarding these two men. We're not right.
I know. He bust y'all.
Now you tell us what was being said. How about this? What was being said in 2002 then? Since we're wrong, tell us what was being said in 2002.
I don't know. I was.
Then shut the fuck up.
I was a Kobe fan.
I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. If you can't get
all I know what Kobe was doing in LA.
If you can't give me an answer then, and I ask you a fucking question, then shut the fuck up talking about it.
All I see
I'm asking you a question.
All I see is
in
niggas afros out here.
2002, can you tell us?
All right, this is my take on this, right? Now, y'all know with my video, right, I was specifically pushing back on the notion of Kobe being seen as a sidekick by 2002. Now, to me, when you say that someone's a sidekick, you're basically describing somebody that is assisting someone in some task who is perceived to be superior and often vastly superior to you in skills or experience or just generally just on a higher plateau, right? And I resisted with that one, but with that notion, because by 2002, Kobe Bryant was already doing some amazing things. And he was already garnering Michael Jordan comparisons. Now, whether or not that was media hyperbole, all I know is is that he was already garnering comparisons. And people who legitimately watched the Michael Jordan era, like Sam Smith, who wrote a book, The Jordan Rules in '91, was talking about this stuff. And he was saying that they were close. So he was already on that Michael Jordan trajectory. So I had to push against that. Now, this thing about, Mcgrady and Kobe being seen as similar in 2002, okay, I don't necessarily disagree with that. But you got to look at it in the context of the time, right? Because you still had some people who felt that as great as Kobe Bryant was, and he was a superstar, in my opinion, by 2002. He was a superstar. What he did in those two prior seasons, 2000, 2001, when he averaged like 28 points a game, and I think 2001, 2002, when he averaged around 26 points a game, right? That's not a sidekick or some sort of second underling type performance, that Jaylen Brown's not even doing that, right? He's not even coming close to that type of production. And a lot of people question whether Jaylen Brown's a true sidekick to Jason Tatum. But there was still an element of people who felt like, well, if Shaq wasn't there, would they have won those championships? And a lot of people still wanted to give Shaq more the credit because he did take a team to the finals in '95, right? So some people were saying, well, if you put Tracy McGrady on the Lakers, then they could have won too. There were some people who were saying that at that time, but both these guys were really just getting started with their legacies, especially McGrady, because McGrady was playing in the shadow of Vince Carter in Toronto the first couple of years of his career. And then the excuse that McGrady was getting at that time, well, the team that he's playing on isn't really that great, right? But, you could do this snapshot in time thing with a lot of players. If you took a snapshot in time of, say, March, April 1994, right? If you just went back in time right there before the start of the playoffs, you would have had some people saying that David Robinson was greater than Akeem Olajuwon. If you went back in time to 1985, there'll be some people that would say, as Bernard King was winning the scoring title, or about to win the scoring title, man, if you put Bernard on a great team, could he be just as great or better than Bird? Maybe Bernard King should have won the MVP over Larry Bird. So that don't really bother me, but because this is just snapshots in time. But what bothers a lot of people is what is the motivation behind doing this? What is the motivation behind these attempts to belittle or sort of lessen what Kobe was doing? That's what's bothering a lot of Kobe fans. I'm assuming that's what's bothering Nick Young, and that's why he posted, "What did Kobe do to these niggas?" Because it just seems like these guys are holding a revisionist campaign to lessen what Kobe Bryant did, and it's also correlating with the same campaign against Michael Jordan. So therefore, you start looking at, okay, who's behind this? And you start thinking the same things. And Gils Pro made a great point. If Gilbert is a Kobe Bryant fan as he claims he is, then why does he only use Kobe as a point of context or to show objectivity to make a point to prop up somebody else by lessening Kobe. You don't do that with LeBron. We don't really hear you do that. So that in itself is suspicious. You know what I'm saying? But this is my thing. My issue with the whole Tracy McGrady and Kobe thing isn't that they were at one point in time, at some brief moment in time, seen as equals. My issue is when Tracy McGrady said, well, if you switched me and Kobe, the Lakers are doing the same thing. I don't see it. I don't see it because, number one, like I said before, it's not just about talent. Tracy McGrady and his cousin Vince Carter probably had more natural talent than Kobe Bryant ever had. Kobe Bryant got to be the player that he is because he's probably, along with Walter Payton and Jerry Rice, the hardest working athlete that you would ever find. And probably, along with Larry Bird and maybe Jerry West, they're up there, the toughest basketball players this game has ever seen. I don't see those same qualities in Tracy McGrady. I've never seen Tracy McGrady showcase those same leadership qualities. Kobe and Tracy were similar as far as talent, but there are certain qualities and intangibles that Kobe had that I don't see Tracy bringing to the table when it comes to Shaq. I see Shaq eating Tracy McGrady up. I see those teams underperforming because Shaq doesn't have that guy who dares to challenge the general, Shaq, as great as he is, you know what I'm saying? When you're a center, just because of the nature of how you play, right? You don't practice as much. Well, what I mean by that is in the gym, you got the miking drill, you know what I'm saying? There only but so many things, unless you're a postmaster, unless you're a footwork and post, high and low post master, mastering all those types of moves. There's basically 3 or 4 moves that a center make, right? Even the most skilled ones, right? Usually. Like I said, unless you're Kevin McHale, unless you're Akeem Olajuwon, and even most of those guys that don't want to put in the work like that anymore. But guards put in a lot more work for the most part. So Tracy McGrady would put in more work, but Kobe was putting in work in a way that was fanatic. And I'm sorry, but Tracy McGrady never showcased that same burning desire for me to feel like he would have three-peated with Shaq. Maybe they would have won a title. But people forget Kobe came within 2 games of three-peating without Shaq. He won 2 championships without Shaq and went to another finals without Shaq. And, people got to remember that, Shaq won a championship without Kobe, but he did it with a Dwayne Wade who was playing the best basketball of his fucking career probably in those finals. And Kobe won 2 more championships with a guy, Pau Gasol, who was nowhere near on that level as far as a Shaquille O'Neal. So I just don't, and then, and then Tracy had Yao Ming, who I think all of us would agree was naturally more talented than Pau Gasol, and he failed to get out of the first round. So the individual scoring and all of that, man, it's never wowed me like other people, man. Look, I'll make a point of reference to end this video. Pete Maravich, to me, was a great, great player, right? But Pete Maravich played 10 years in the NBA, 1970, 1980. And he missed the playoffs numerous times. And he only appeared in 26 playoff games, right? And even when he was healthy, no, he didn't. I didn't expect him to win a championship with those teams he was on, but he seldom led teams to. I don't think he ever led a team to 50 wins. Number one. Secondly, I would, in my opinion, I would always rank a Walt Frazier ahead of him. Walt Frazier sacrifices offensive numbers for the betterment of the team. Walt Frazier was a complete player because he played on the high end on both sides of the basketball. He's a two-time NBA champion, all defensive team selection. And you can make an argument he should have won Finals MVP in 1970. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, I value a guy who contributes on both ends of the floor. I value those complete players, and I value those guys that have those winning intangibles. And while Tracy McGrady was amazing, I think there's a difference between Tracy McGrady and Kobe Bryant. Just like there's a difference between, say, Adrian Dantley and Reggie Miller. Adrian Dantley's stats blow Reggie Miller's away. But if you watch Adrian Dantley play, he seemed to be more concerned with his numbers. Reggie Miller, on the other hand, yes, he could score, and yes, he wasn't the most talented player, but I guarantee you, if you put Reggie Miller on a great team, they're going to win championships. And the only reason why he didn't win a championship, in my opinion, talking about Reggie Miller, is for two reasons. One of them is Michael Jordan. The other one is because of what unfortunately transpired in 2004. But anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.